The world's a simpler place when you're young, where you only worry about what's for dessert or if you can stay up past your bedtime. Life is good unless you run into a bully. Bullies suck, plain and simple. But we've all had to deal with them. They use size, power, and fear to terrorize you into doing what they want.
Now give me your lunch money.
You end up having to hand over your allowance and your homework just to avoid a beating. Now, I never did, but I've seen it happen. Now we like to think that as we get older, we outgrow our torturers, but we really just call them by a different name. Because isn't a tyrannical leader just another version of a bully? They use the same tools to force you into submission. You can't do or say what you want without being afraid of the consequences. If you tell on them, you end up getting a swirly. Try to talk and you get silenced. Sounds pretty similar to communist China. But the only way to defeat a bully is stand up to them. Not everyone's brave enough, though, but the special ones are. Like the protester who refused to move aside for the tanks in Tiananmen Square. Or the patriots at the Boston Tea Party who wouldn't give in to King George's demands. Or Ralphie from A Christmas Story, who had just about enough of Scott Farkas.
Something had happened. A fuse blew, and I had gone out of my skull.
If you do nothing and you live in fear, your bully will continue to control you. At a certain point, you got to take a stand.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
In Washington, a brave group of high school students are having their William Wallace moment. We told you about them last night. Their state requires every student, K through 12, to be masked up all day, every day, even though science says it's wrong. Funny how quickly the left abandoned follow the science when they didn't like where it led. But thankfully, these kids aren't staying silent anymore.
And we're all walking into the school with no mask on. You can get me in trouble, they can suspend me, I don't care. We're done with this. And obviously all of you are too. We want this to be a peaceful, respectful movement. We are just trying to gain back our rights as citizens. If a staff member asks you to put a mask on, you say no thank you and keep walking. And if they kick you out, then go home.
Brave words from some young kids. And it looks like they're not alone in this fight, as students across the nation, from California to Missouri, have refused to surrender to their mask masters.
We're just out here protesting the school's mask policy. I just came out and I said that I wasn't going to wear a mask. Somehow we can find a way to make some sort of compromise with the school so that kids that choose not to wear a mask can make their way to school.
That's all these kids are asking for, the right to go to school. This shouldn't be that hard. We started this week by telling you about America's great awakening over COVID crime and counterfeit news. And now we're seeing it in the classroom. Hopefully, it's not too little too late, because masks aren't even the weirdest things some kids are forced to deal with. One school band has been making their students practice while stuffed into a plastic tent.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
I hate to tell them, but it might make it hard for the woodwinds to do their thing as they require, you know, some actual wind and air to play. But science is hard for the left. The year's been hard on everybody. A Long Island teacher got caught perusing kinky toys in front of his students. I guess it was good that they had their masks to cover their eyes. So this is just a little thing that the school's going through these days. In Loudoun County, Virginia, ground zero of the school wokeness revolution, an assistant principal is actually threatening students with jail time if they show up without one.
Until you arrive, your children will be held in an in-school restriction situation here at school. They are not allowed on campus or on Loudoun County public school property. Starting tomorrow, it will be considered trespassing.
Trespassing is a felony offense in Virginia. Think about it for a second. But you throw on a dress and rape a girl in a bathroom, cover that right up. And if you want to see some real insanity, just slide one state south, North Carolina, where they're trying to indoctrinate you before you're potty trained.
Full mask compliance later down their growth as students, right? So when they're it's like if you're a 2-year-old, you're trying to help them practice for age 3, and then 4 when they're going into pre-K classrooms, and then from there you're trying to help them get into normalized situation, wearing masks potentially in a kindergarten classroom and so forth, right? So that's what we're trying to do, and it is with a developmental lens and not a you must do this or else lens.
2 years old. Slap a mask on your face and learn to hate your own race and your nation. But the Great Awakening is here. It's time to take a stand against these bullies. We're not saying get violent. You know what we're talking about. Lucky for America, there are a few real-life Peter Parker. Fox News just celebrated 20 years at #1, the first cable news channel in history to hit that landmark. It's been an honor and a privilege to crush CNN and MSNBC, especially CNN, in the ratings over the years. But it's a team effort. As they say over at PBS, we couldn't do this without viewers like you. Now, a lot of you who turn in are conservatives, independents, and we appreciate you. But there's another demographic who apparently can't get enough of Fox: Democrats. And I'm not just talking about my own mom. Now, I didn't believe this either, but we've seen the data. Liberals love Fox News. Now, they might not admit it to their friends, but they're watching us. And they're watching us a lot more than they're watching CNN and MSNBC. The latest numbers from Nielsen show in October, Fox commanded 42% of Democrat viewers between 25 and 54, while CNN only had 33% and MSNBC a measly 25%. Those numbers are pretty impressive. What do they mean? Maybe we're not so different, you and I. So Democrats, your secret's out, and that's okay. We know you're watching, and we're here for you. And we want to hear from you. So text me. Number's right here at the bottom of the screen, and we're going to chat.